What's good, Relocation Football League fans? Y'all already know what time it is. It's your boy Smitty, and it looks a little bit different in terms of the lighting because it's daytime right now. This is the earlier time than we usually go for podcasts. Of course, we were supposed to have one yesterday, but I had a lot going on outside of RFL stuff, so unfortunately I could not do that on time. But I'm here today. It's going to be a brief schedule, and look, I already got stuff getting revealed, but you guys should already know the schedule. I posted that out. But we are going to have a brief podcast showcasing, of course, let me change this up because that was last week's, talking about what's to come for the RFL here soon. And man, it's a lot of information, but I will be quick with it. A lot of that information will be getting spread out to you guys later on throughout the process as we head closer and closer to the RFL season, man. All I have to say is season 9 is about to be a banger, man. Let's get a shout out to the guys who are here. We got R on the building. We got Lito, Eric, Pat in the building, Michael King, Coach Dunny in here, Amani, Falana, Drew Brewer, CP. What's going on, man? Glad you guys could come through. What's going on, Killian, Zion, Dalen Mitchell? The guys are here. Most guys in the Discord already know about this information due to me posting it out there. So first, we're going to go ahead and talk about this stuff at the end. So let's get into what we would have kind of recapped in the podcast first, if it had been on time last night. So we're going to talk about, just briefly show you guys what the final scores were. Well, I'm going to show you guys what the final scores were, kind of talk a little bit about that. Show you guys the schedule, the top 25 rankings, and then, of course, after all that's said and done, we're going to go ahead and talk about what's coming for Season 9. So I didn't want to hop into that in the beginning. So let's go ahead and look at what happened in Week 6, right? Oh, shoot. Where's the... Things all over the place. Wow. Yeah, there you go. Week 6 of the RFL. So we started out Alabama taking on Texas A&M. I don't have the graphics and stuff for this at the moment. That's one of the reasons why I had to push that stuff back, because I was working on some other things. But Alabama able to beat Texas A&M. They were the favorites to come out and win this game. I think there was only a few teams that I had favored that did not win this week. So for the most part, most teams handled business the way they were supposed to. But Alabama was able to bounce back with a 33-20 victory over Texas A&M. And once again, I'm going to be breezing through these pretty fast because I don't want this podcast to be too long. It's probably going to end up being like 30 minutes, a little bit over that, maybe 45 minutes. Could even be shorter, who knows. But big win for Alabama as they were able to beat Texas A&M. They had a tough loss against South Carolina. The last time they played, they had to come off a bye week to get this win. Remember, if anybody can remember from that Week 4 loss that they had against South Carolina, it was 28-3. So they looked really bad in that game, but they looked really good this week that just passed, and were able to do some damage against Texas A&M. But at the same time, Texas A&M put up a pretty good fight, which is why they show once again that they are a team this year that you can't really sleep on. You can't really sleep on Texas A&M, guys. They can upset you. I'm not saying they're going to be a playoff team, but this is the team that you walk in there thinking things going to be easy. You could walk out there with an L. Alabama got the window. They knew they couldn't take anything for granted like they did against South Carolina. And now they're sitting at 4-1 on the season. Next, we had Maryland versus Tennessee. And this Maryland versus Tennessee game was a little bit of a shocker. You can see the dates in which we had them. If anybody wants access to this, if anybody could do me a favor, go into the Discord for the guys who are part of Discord, if you're a mod, and put that link to the League Lobster page in the YouTube chat for me. And that way you can click on that and it'll take you to this page where you'll be able to see what the scores were and the standings currently in the RFL College Series. But this game was a shocker to me because Tennessee was in trouble. Tennessee was in trouble. Man, I thought they was going to take an L. And, you know, this was a team we were talking about earlier in the season. We were like, okay, these guys got playoff hopes. They're going to be, you know, they might just end up being in the playoffs for the first time in the RFL College Series. They were looking pretty good. Then had that shocking loss, of course, tough loss to TCU. And although TCU was good, we expect Tennessee, if they're going to be that kind of team, to be able to defeat that kind of team, and they couldn't do it. It was a close game. 24-20 was the final score there, but they couldn't do it. But Tennessee, as you can see from the score, 35-31, they won the game, but Maryland really had these guys. Like, it was a great comeback. You have to give it to Tyon because he had a rough stretch, man. I'll say one of those interceptions really wasn't on him. He threw a Hail Mary and ended up getting picked off. He had 3 interceptions thrown in that game. but he ended the day with 5 and still with 3 interceptions was player of the game at the end of the game. Even the game deemed him as such. So that was a great comeback from Tyon. The defense stepped up when needed at the right time. They did struggle in that Maryland game. So that might be something to look out for when you're watching the Tennessee Volunteers this year. So look out for that. That could be an issue that could stop them from getting to where they want to go in the playoffs. One loss on the season already. They don't really want to take any more after that if they want to kind of have a shoe-in to be in the playoffs. They got a lot more SEC matchups coming, but to be this close to Maryland, although Maryland started out pretty good this year, I don't like it. But games, sometimes good teams can have these kinds of games. Hopefully that was the case for Tennessee. But Tennessee bouncing back, getting the win, 35-31. Good victory. Florida State, man, let's get a bell. Where my bells at? Hold up. There we go. Let's get the bell for Wisconsin, man. You let Florida State get their first win of the season. And I know a lot of people saying Florida State in real life is good, which they are. And you just saw what they were able to do in real life to LSU, who they played. Beat those boys. But, man, shout out to Eric and those Seminoles out there, man. Finally got yourselves a win. Not going to be the first team in RFL College Series history to go winless. 23-13 was the final score. Them Rusty Badgers, or I forgot what we called them. We had a name for the Badgers, man, because how bad they were. But literally blanked out of my head right now. But the Badgers are looking like that. They ended up not being able to take down Florida State. They are a lot more talented than what they were last year. They got talent, but they just don't show up. You know, they just don't show up. I haven't been showing up this year. To be 1-4 at this point, that's, you know, I thought they would be better. This is a game I think that they should have won. And unfortunately, it wasn't the case. They lose by 10, 23-13. Not too much to say there, but Florida State not going to be a winless team this year. And another bell has to go to the Badgers for that. Oh, man, wrong button. Wrong button indeed. There you go. Right button. And here goes the right bell. There you go. Okay. Then game number 2 at 1 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. We had UCLA. Yo, UCLA is looking like something this year, guys. I'm not saying they're going to be another one of those teams, not a playoff team. But they are a team that can definitely shock you this year. 41-17 against Arizona State. And our Arizona State really hasn't been good this year. They just haven't. But at the end of the day, UCLA has came up with some pretty interesting wins this season. Really have come up with some pretty good wins. And to win by this margin against an Arizona State team that has some good talent on it. We talk about Armani Fulana, who was in the chat right now, who's been having a pretty productive season with the Arizona State. And the running back's been doing pretty good too. He's a generic guy. But wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to beat UCLA, who's at the top of their game. Once again, a 41-17 piece is crazy. Do have to still give the bell to Arizona State. I thought they would perform better. And I have to give the bell to Armani, man. You know why I got to give the bell to you, my guy? Because you said, and we got the receipts. I told you, do not sleep on UCLA. I picked UCLA to win this game by 1.5 because I was like, it should be a close game, but for some reason, I feel UCLA is going to win this. And boy, did they win it by a lot. So that's why you got to take the bell there, man. I said, don't sleep on them. Homeboy came back with the emojis talking about had somebody like this or some type of creature knocked out sleeping on UCLA. And I'm just like, man, he gonna probably find out. Even if he wins, he's gonna find out that they not no slouch. And he ended up being the one getting slouched over as they were able to win that game by a sizable margin, man. UCLA, big dubs, big dubs. And the last 1 p.m. game on Saturday, we had Oklahoma State versus Louisville. This is a really good game. I predicted Louisville to win this game, and they did that. They won by 14, 34-20. They just got the job done. They got the. He said I got caught for. But yeah, they got the job done, man. Louisville is a pretty good team, you know, despite the record and losses in which they had, now sitting at 3-3. You know, they were pretty good. I don't know if people remember in that Penn State game, they were kind of neck and neck with those boys for the most part. And then Penn State really got crazy on them towards the end. But Louisville is a solid squad. And I thought they were enough to beat Oklahoma State, who this year is a solid squad. They're a tough team to beat as well. They've beaten a couple of good teams. So can't sleep on Oklahoma State either. Louisville had the talent to be able to overcome them in this matchup. and win by a pretty good margin. So good win there for the Louisville Cardinals. We go ahead into the 4 p.m. Eastern games. Okay, looking at Washington. Washington continuing to get stumped on, man. Got to play the bells for the Huskies out there. This is looking bad, man. This is not the Huskies team we saw last year by a stretch of any portion. I mean, this is just pretty bad. USC is a good team still. Like, it's a tough team despite their struggles. I mean, these guys lost to UCLA, but again, look at what UCLA is looking like now. So that loss doesn't look that bad anymore. USC is a hit or miss team. That's pretty much what they are. Hit or miss team. They're either going to be on the top of their game, do you dirty, blow you out, or at least put up a good fight and beat a good team, or they're going to be really trash and come out. And it's mainly because of the quarterback play. Cinco Cardenas kind of got that older following him from when he was with Clemson on those days, now coming here to USC. But we know that there's some times where he can lock in. He locked in this game, able to throw some touchdowns, and of course able to win easily at home over the Washington Huskies. And the losses just continue. Washington with just 1 win on the season. I think they're 1-4. I mean, it's just getting really bad. I think 1-5 now. So yeah, gotta go ahead and hit them with that bell once again as well. That's a tough one. Oklahoma beating Texas. I mean, I think this is the biggest blowout we've had in the Red River rivalry in the RFL College Series. Every Red River rivalry game has been great. I'm talking about neck and neck, literally like real life. That's how good the rivalry's been. Texas is honestly looking like they're not good. Ain't no looking like they're not good. They are not good. They are 1-4 right now. Oklahoma is a team that struggled too a little bit this season, but they blew them out by 31 points. So the Longhorns just getting turned into steaks out here, and it's just not looking. It's not looking right, man. It's not looking right. Oklahoma is just. This is another hit or miss team. They got some good talent, and they were able to hit this week. They were able to beat the Texas Longhorns and get an easy win. That's also very huge for them because they are in the Big 12 together. So that's a great win for them. And not really too much I could say about that. Just great performance by Oklahoma. Like I said, I'm not going to dive into any specific details of these games in terms of player-related things unless something comes to mind because, like I said, I want to make this brief. Give me some time before the next game, which I will be calling Thursday, but I'll be talking a lot about some other things going forward about what's going to be happening with the college series and everything else. But big win for Texas. TCU was able to get it done over Florida. This was a pretty good competitive matchup. Florida, we expect them to be good, but we're starting to see the decline of AR, but we know he's more so of a running quarterback. There were times where he was looking good throwing the football. He did not look good throwing the football in this game. A lot of missed passes, a lot of missed opportunities. TCU was able to take advantage of them, and they were able to get the victory, man, 23-17. TCU, once again, like I said earlier, not a bad team. They are winning some meaningful games. This win against Florida is a good win for the Horned Frogs. So, again, there's a couple prospects on there, and Amir Daniels and Tanner Hendricks. Tanner Hendricks being a quarterback, Amir Daniels being a wide receiver. Those guys have been really working well together, putting up numbers, making plays, and they were able to connect in this game as well for a touchdown and make some noise. So, that big win there for the Horned Frogs. Then we get into September 3rd, which is the Sunday slate of games. And this Clemson and Auburn game was fire, man. This kind of lived up to the rivalry hype in the RFL College Series because I can remember back when Christian used to be, he made his first player when we were allowed to have multiple players in the league. He made his first player a wide receiver for Auburn. And it was kind of a debate on who was going to get that final spot to make it to the playoffs back in CS2. And he was on Auburn and ended up losing, and Clemson ended up getting in. And they beat Clemson that year. And he's like, oh, come on, man, we should have been in there. And then it was a crazy storyline where Auburn was able to play in a bowl game. Forgot exactly who they were playing against, but he went off in that game with 3 touchdowns. And kind of that's a little bit of the rivalry, I guess you could say, a little bit from that because Clemson and Auburn, they just made for some pretty good games throughout the college series. And this was a great game. I'm talking about neck and neck, back and forth. 35-38, the final score. Clemson got to give them the bell, though, because they had this game. I don't know what's going on with Clemson, but again, just continuing to drop the ball and not get the wins. And then on top of that, with Auburn, hey, if you are a coach, scout, whatever, I think eyes need to get peeled on a certain wide receiver that plays for Auburn right now. He's a generic wide receiver named T.J. Holcomb. This guy is ridiculous. Another easy 100+ yard day, over 150. I think I can't remember the stat line exactly, but he was up there. He had a 200-yard receiving game earlier this season. These aren't weak cornerbacks for Clemson like they were, last year that were getting cooked. He was cooking them. He didn't have a big game against Georgia, but I mean, Clemson, this performance against Clemson's defense is great that he was able to have. And to get the win, if it wasn't for him connecting, with Don Beck, then they wouldn't win this game. Don Beck ended up having himself a 5-touchdown performance. Generic quarterback. We remember we were clowning him, talking about how trash he's been looking. But I think he's thrown 10 touchdowns in his last 2 games. This is his second 5-touchdown pass performance. So Don Beck's starting to get himself together. That's another player to look out for, just in case, for future references. Not saying he's amongst the top. I know guys aren't going to feel that way about him. I certainly am not. But, he's turning things around right now. But 38-35, the final score there. Auburn gets it done. Georgia got the win against West Virginia. I would have liked it to be better. But, I mean, at the end of the day, a 15-point victory is a 15-point victory. You got it done. West Virginia has been scrappy and playing teams close, so I got to give that to them. A lot of teams close. I think they played just about every team they played so far close, ever since the couple of blowouts that they had to start the season. But they put up a decent fight against Georgia, but only could get field goals. Georgia gets it done 24-9. Not really too much I could say about that. Georgia just handling business. Would have liked them once again to put up more points. Just didn't happen, but they got the win. Ohio State was able to bounce back, and they better have got this win over Iowa, because if they didn't, we were about to give them the craziest bell session, I think, in college series podcast history. Things have been going downhill for Ohio State, the 2-time back-to-back national champions. They already got 2 losses on the season. They lose another game, they're just about done. So they had to come out here and show, hey, we are Ohio State. We still can come out here and rock with the best of them. And if you're Iowa, we're going to stomp on you like a buck. And they stomped on them like a buck. Beat them by 28 points, 31-3 is the final score. They avoided the embarrassment of the bell session that was coming. And you just got to give, a shout out to Tyler, the fan of the Iowa Hawkeyes, man. He going to pull up, man. It seems like you want to root for Iowa if they get a win. If they upset anybody, you're just waiting to see what the reaction of Tyler is going to be. But, yeah, didn't get the game, the upset game that people kind of were looking for, because I silently there's some people who don't want to see Ohio State like even in the playoffs again. And honestly, if this was me personally, I would like to see a new champion. 3-time champions of Ohio State. Yeah, that would have had me feeling like, daggone, like I want to see somebody new. That's me personally. So like I'm not saying I'm rooting against Ohio State, but I do want to see another champion. But they can still get themselves in the conversation, but they got to win out pretty much from this point. And they handle business like they were supposed to against Iowa, a Big Ten conference opponent. And they are in good standings right now. They got a schedule where I think they can still win out. So we're going to see how things go. If they are that good of a team, they're going to have to get that done. Notre Dame continues to be the team we thought they were, because we knew they were good starting out the season, right? The first 3 games, they come out 0-3, and they lose against teams who we know are dogs. And I'm talking about they lose close games to teams who we know are dogs. They started out the first game of the season against Miami, who's number 2 ranked in the country, who arguably many want to move to number 1, which, you can still make that case. But at the same time, I mean, 23-20 against a team like that just goes to show you, okay, that's when we started thinking like, okay, this Notre Dame team is something different. I kind of knew because the base roster looking different coming into the season. And, yeah, it kind of showed, because the games following after that, game against Michigan, the game against, I think it was Alabama they played. But these guys, the first 3 games, they had an absolute gauntlet. Didn't succeed, but every other game since then, they have been dominating teams. And North Carolina getting blown out by 36 points here. Got to play the bell for UNC. Not the same UNC team as they were a year ago. The ACC champs don't look like they're even going to be in a conversation for that game. But you never know. They did beat Clemson. We'll see how the rest of the season unfolds. But 49-13. Looks like Notre Dame is going to flip it around like we expected and at least end up bowl eligible. those first 3 losses really hurt them. They got probably one of the toughest schedules in the RFL College Series, and they're still being able to do stuff like this. So Notre Dame, really good team. Look out for them. I think they're going to be bowl eligible for sure. They just need to win 3 more games, and the way they're looking, should be able to do that. Oregon, okay, now we get into the classics, man. We get into the classics, and this is the reason why we had the thumbnail say classic after classic. This is the reason why this is it. Because these 2 games to close out week 6 were absolutely amazing. Probably up there, top 10 in the best college football games in RFL College Series history. Oregon and Miami, we were waiting for that one. We knew the matchup was going to be good. Oregon is a much better team than what they were a year ago. Only lost their season opener. They looked kind of sketchy in the first 3 games of the season, not going to lie. But the following games after that, their last 2 games before hopping into this matchup, they blew out USC and they were able to beat, I'm blanking on the other team, but both of those games, they won, putting up exactly 48 points. They scored 98 points in 2 games coming into this. And they were red hot, ready to take down the number 2 ranked Miami Hurricanes. And they came close, man. They came close. But in the end, good teams find ways to win. And Miami, man, these guys battled back and ended up tying it, getting into overtime. In Miami, the turnovers were crazy, right? The big plays, like it was just like, it was so many great plays just being made, some crazy ones in terms of defense, some bad ones that turned into just great plays for the defense with those turnovers. But you just loved every part of this game, even if the turnovers and mistakes made by the players were extremely bad. It just had you on the edge of your seat the entire game. Miami ended up getting a crucial interception. Jay Hayden had 2 big primetime interceptions in this game. Definitely player of the game for that one on defense. And that interception, when Ronnie Shanahan threw across his body, really closed it out. They got 2 of those interceptions. They picked off Ronnie Shanahan 5 times in this game. 2 of those interceptions came in overtime. So that's how crazy this Miami defense continues to play when they strap up man-to-man. A lot of people referring this team to DBU. They do produce a lot of the top defensive back prospects coming out of the RFL draft. And of course, you know, they got Xavier Savage there. This kid that had the 2 interceptions of Jay Hayden looking crazy. I mean, this is a team that loves man-to-man corners and do produce great talent in that section. I would agree with that statement. But that interception just really closed out the game there for Oregon because they were already inside their own 20. So a huge play there to kick the game-winning field goal. Game was over. They went in overtime, 24-21. Words can't even really explain how that game was. It's just an instant classic. Just go back and watch that game from start to finish. You're going to enjoy every aspect of it. You really are. When we get a look at, and we get into the final game of week 6, which is Michigan versus Penn State. And this was a class. As much as I loved that Oregon and Miami game, man, that was up there. But this took the cake for me. I was like, how can they be a classic better than even that one? This was it, man. I lost my mind in the booth so crazy that I still didn't even go back to see how I sounded at the end. But people were saying I was screaming in the mic so loud, I just went out. And it was crazy, man. That comeback by Penn State was just ridiculous. Michigan and Penn State are just completely different teams this year. Despite the loss from Michigan, this Michigan team is fire, man. This Penn State team is really fire. And I mean, they just gave us the game of the week vibes all day. I haven't missed on a game of the week selection yet for the season, man. Every game that we had last on the from the start all the way up to this point of College Series 5 has been classic bangers, man. So like this definitely topped everything off at the end compared to even those earlier games to close out the weeks. But man, that last minute touchdown with no seconds left with Penn State threw it in the back of the end zone. They didn't even let them kick the extra point. It wasn't even overtime. They didn't even let them kick the extra point to make it 35-33, which it should have been after they scored. It was just, they just say, hey, man, game was just so crazy. It's game over. Ain't nobody want to see a kick to finish the game off. We're just going to go ahead and end it with that touchdown. That's it. And they ended up winning by 1 point, 34-33. Absolutely phenomenal. 10 out of 10. Best game, I would have to say, of the college series so far. And we've had a lot of them. even though we're still on current gen, this year's college series, when it comes to games, has been pure heat. This might be the most competitive, most exciting college series season. I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, the interaction is not the same with certain players, like how as much as we had before, but bro, the games, if anybody's paying attention, has been wild. Like this CS5 season has been one to remember already, and it's just week 7 we're getting into. I'm not even gonna lie about that. Like these games have been that good. So great game to close us out. Michigan gets it done. I mean, Penn State gets it done. Penn State improves to, I don't think they got a bye week yet, so they're 5-1 on the season. And Michigan fell ultimately to 3-2, but a good Michigan team once again to talk about that we're going to see in many games going forward. Now let's go ahead and get a look at the upcoming week. You might as well dive into this. Let me see if I can scroll this a little bit. Yes, a little bit. There you go. Look at the upcoming week, week 7, starting things out. UCLA versus Ohio State. I need to go check my spreads here. Let me see what I got. I was pretty good on, if you made bets with, I think just about everyone won their bets in the spreads category yesterday. I mean, for last week. So like I was pretty much on for the most part when it came to who the favorites were, and they ended up winning. But we'll see if that'll be the case this week. So UCLA, Ohio State, favored to win by 6 points is Ohio State. I do have it at 6 points. Of course, it would have been higher if this was last year's or the years prior UCLA other than CS2, But this UCLA team's pretty good, man. This is another game where it's like Ohio State can't lose this one. You really can't. You're still going to get bailed up, even though UCLA is really good now. But I do think that the Buckeyes get this win here at home. So, yeah, I got them winning by 6 or more points. That game is actually going down today. And I want to give a shout out to Pat McNeil, who will be joining me in the broadcast booth. I don't know if he's in the chat. Did he show up? Yeah, Pat's here in the chat. So shout out to you, Pat. He's going to be in the booth with me tonight, calling this game at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I'm going to talk about it like it was tomorrow, since it feels like it's got the podcast vibes. But it's tonight, man, 8 p.m. Eastern. That's about just over 3 hours away. So make sure you guys tune in for that. Game number 2, Miami versus North Carolina. This Miami team still looking as good. UNC team, not anymore. I'm going with Miami in this one. I think Miami is going to be able to get it done by 7 or more points. Then we go ahead into the premier games, Iowa versus Wisconsin. Now, this spread here isn't updated. The one I'm looking at from the sheet, because I actually filled in scores from some games I already recorded. But Iowa and Wisconsin, I got Wisconsin. Even though I was giving them the bell, talk about how crazy of a loss they just took and how they've been underperforming compared to what I thought, at least. I do got Wisconsin winning this game. I think they beat Iowa, because Iowa's just been that bad as well. And I got them by 4 or more points. So that's my spread there. West Virginia versus Baylor. I'm going with Baylor. This West Virginia team is not the same at all. Same deal as it was just talking about with Miami and North Carolina. This matchup used to be one to really look forward to back in the day, last couple of seasons, 2 or 3 of them. And, with that talent completely being erased from West Virginia, they got a few submits there, but they just really have not made a difference at all. They're the only team in the college series that has not had a win yet. So they might actually be the first team in college series history to never get a win. And so we'll have to see what happens. But I got Baylor winning this one by 6 or more points. Only reason I even made that spread a little bit low is because Baylor does not have that consistency factor with the team yet, hasn't shown it. And also West Virginia has been playing teams close. So I will say that I'm going to still go with Baylor with a lower spread. But of course, if Baylor had that consistency factor, I would have probably threw this up by at least 2 scores easy. Moving on to the next 1 p.m. game, we got Stanford versus Michigan. Of course, I'm going with Michigan. This is the biggest spread I got out of all teams. I got Michigan winning by 10 or more points. Just self-explanatory. Michigan's just that good of a team this year. Stanford, even though they've had their moments with a few upsets that were back-to-back, haven't won a game since. And I don't think they get it done against Michigan here, especially in Ann Arbor. I think Michigan's going to be able to handle them easily at home. And at 4 p.m. Eastern, we got Oklahoma versus Maryland. I'm going with Oklahoma. They look really good this past week, as I talked about. And I think they beat Maryland by at least 5 or more points on the road. Once again, Maryland, they played pretty good last week, too, against a good Tennessee team. So these spreads, once again, have been getting influenced off of little things like that. So I'm taking Oklahoma by 5 or more points. They should be able to win by more than that easily, honestly, based off the talent. So that's all I'll say there. USC versus Arizona State. This is a Pac-12 matchup, so very important for USC. And I say USC solely because it would be important for Arizona State, but they don't have any playoff aspirations. USC does, right? So this is a big game that USC can't fumble around in. They got to win. So I'm taking USC to win this one by 6 or more points. I do feel like Arizona State can play these guys close if they're on their A game. And if they're slacking on offense, this could be a rough game for the Trojans. All right, and then we go to Notre Dame versus TCU. Notre Dame versus TCU, I've got this being a pretty close game because TCU is really good. No, yeah, they're pretty solid. I'll say that. I'm not saying really good in terms of where, once again, playoff caliber, but they're a solid team. And I do think that with the home field advantage against Notre Dame, they're going to make it very challenging. But from how Notre Dame has been looking, I got to go with the Fighting Irish, man. And it was so hard for me. This is the lowest spread that I have. I chose Notre Dame to win by 2 or more points. So as long as they win by more than 1 point, that's a dub for anybody who's putting a bet on that. But again, that isn't easy to think about either because TCU, as good as the teams they've been, hey, you could end up losing that. They could end up winning this at home. But Notre Dame, I think they got enough to get it done on the road. Then we got Texas A&M versus Georgia. Going with Georgia by 8 or more points. Not really too much to say there. Texas A&M can't sleep on them. You definitely cannot sleep on them. Georgia already knows that for a fact because they've lost to them before. But I am going to take Georgia, and I do have to play the bell for history because I don't know if Quan here, but yeah, that's the game they lost. Yeah, because Quan got bagged in that Texas A&M game. But yeah, hopefully that doesn't happen to Georgia again. I got Georgia though winning. They look a lot more better this season, and they were pretty good last year still. But I'm taking Georgia by 8 or more points. Texas versus South Carolina. We've seen how terrible Texas has looked this year. South Carolina has been a team that can upset you. So I'm taking South Carolina. South Carolina I'm going with by 5 or more points. They upset at Alabama. We've seen that they just have that consistency of doing that with certain teams. And Texas, looking as bad as they are, hey, I don't think they get it done against South Carolina. I think the Gamecocks get the win. They're at home. Then next at 4 p.m. Eastern, we got Clemson versus Louisville. This should be a good game. I talked about how good Louisville is and the struggles of Clemson, how bad they've kind of been playing and losing these games, that they should be winning. But I'm going to go with Clemson one more time. If Clemson loses this game, I'm done with them. I think that, I don't see them, of course, no playoff. They've already lost too many games. But they lose this game, I don't even know if I can ever bet on them to win a game because these are games that they should be winning. I'm not saying this as if Louisville is trash or anything, but let's remember once again, Clemson is a 95, 91 overall base team. They should not be losing the games that they're losing. They should be out here winning, and then sometimes they'll go out to a lead and just lose it as they did last week. I think Louisville is definitely going to bring their A game here at home. They're going to have to go in there and try to beat these guys, and that means that Clemson's going to have to play a complete game. Can't play around. I'm going to go with Clemson, and once again I made it real close. Same spread as my lowest spread with Notre Dame and TCU, 1.2. So they got to win by 2 or more points. Last time I'm going with Clemson. I do have faith also in Louisville being able to get this done. Any type of mistakes Clemson has, they're going to capitalize on them. So I'm taking Louisville in that. Okay, then we have Auburn versus LSU. Now, LSU, the #1 team in the country, should come out here and win this game. No questions asked. It should be easy. I'm taking LSU to win this by a touchdown or more. But don't sleep on Auburn, man. Do not sleep. If you got to force Don Beck to have a terrible day. If he gets in sync with TJ Holcomb, you never know what can happen, right? We saw LSU getting a close game against Florida State, I think, in the college series, just like in real life, how they lost it. They almost lost it. Well, no, they didn't lose at the Florida State. It was one game. Yeah, it was Texas. It was Texas. They almost lost 17-14. Texas has been looking bad, right? Auburn is a team that if you slack, you have a game like that, they can come through. So LSU should not sleep on this team. This is an SEC opponent. Big dubs for them if they can get it, because even though it's a weaker opponent that they should beat, you want those conference wins. Don't sleep on your conference opponents. Need the wins by any means. They should dominate Auburn here in this one. So a touchdown or more, I'm going with. Then we have Alabama getting back in action after they were able to beat Texas A&M after their first loss of the season. This should be a really good game. Alabama and Florida. Florida has been up and down. They're 3-3. Alabama 4-1. But yeah, I think this is going to be a very solid game because they kind of have the same issues, right? The inconsistencies at quarterback. You have AR who can have a phenomenal game on the ground. Sometimes can throw really well and be a well-rounded quarterback that you just can't stop. Then on Alabama ends of things, everything's good. Defense is good. Skilled players, everything's good except for the quarterback play. You don't know what kind of day you're going to get from Logan Goldsberry. If he's stinking it up, they can lose. Most of the time they do. So this is an important game where it's about whose quarterback is going to play best. I'm definitely going with Alabama in this one to win by 4 or more points. I do feel like it could be close because of the situation with the quarterback, but I feel like if these teams are both in the same situation when we talk about quarterback inconsistency, then that means that who has the better team outside of that? Alabama does. So I expect the Crimson Tide to get that win on the road in the Swamp by 4 more points. And then finally, I'll be in the booth here for this one to close it out. Penn State again. And another game of the week. I think they have the most games of the weeks of any team probably. Of any team this season so far. I'll have to check and see how many games of the week certain teams have gotten to see if they might even tie. I think this is 3 or 4 consecutive weeks where Penn State has been in this spot, or at least 5 total, not consecutive, but like I know it's at least 3 consecutive that they've played on Monday night. So that tells you a lot about Penn State, the crazy win they were able to just get. I think this game against Tennessee, love Tyon, man. But I think Penn State beats Tennessee, man. I think Penn State gets it done. Because although Tyon, we know he's got it in him, that playmaking ability, he's been a little sketchy with it this season. You know, sometimes you're going to get that type of Tyon, and sometimes, you know, you like, oh, what's going on? I think this Penn State team is just that good this year to a point where they're going to be able to, even at his best, I feel like they can potentially beat him. They got good talent, but Penn State's got some really good talent as well. Love the way Sean Clifford plays. It's going to be a battle. If Tennessee wants to win this game, Tyon cannot make mistakes. That is bottom line. It cannot make mistakes, and if you do, you're going to have a miracle comeback like how you did just this past week against Maryland, and that's not easy to replicate. So I'm going with the Nittany Lions here at home at Penn State and Beaver Stadium. So those are my picks for this week in the spreads for who I think is going to get the win. So now we've looked at the week 6. We've looked at the upcoming week 7 schedule, and now we can get into the top 25 rankings, as these were already posted on social media. So if you missed them, you can just go right on Instagram, Twitter, and they'll be there. I'll post them up even in the community channel for on our YouTube page. So week 7, nothing's changed in the top 3. LSU still number 1, Miami number 2, Penn State number 3 after getting the win. Georgia goes up to number 4. I know the Baylor boys are probably like, yo, what's going on? How we get jumped again? Well, you got to look at it this way. Georgia only lost to the number 1 team in the country. They only went under Baylor because they had a bye week as well. Now that they're even in games, Baylor did not play a game this past week. So now it comes down to who's played the best talent, who's looked the best. Got to give it to Georgia. So Georgia is able to jump Baylor as they get jumped twice. They got jumped against Oregon and with Oregon. Now they can jump with Georgia. And so Baylor just going to have to continue to ball out and keep trying to win games to try to crack into that top 4. But, yeah, Georgia gets that 4th spot, so they're still technically in that playoff spot. Baylor at 5, Tennessee 6, Alabama 7, Oregon drops down to 8. UCLA's now up to 9. I don't know if they've ever been this high since CS2 in the top 25 rankings, man. So yeah, up to this point, up to week 7. Usually don't win that many games. But yeah, week 9, ranked number 9, UCLA. USC, despite the struggles we talk about them, they're still a top 10 college series team. They're a 10. Michigan at 11. It's tough to see them there as great as they've been. They've been in the top 5 talks and conversations there in the beginning of the season. Who knows, they can get back. And they're over top of Ohio State, who is there at 12. Who, it's tough to see the predicament they're going in. They're going to have to really battle up to get up top, as we talked about. TCU at 13. Notre Dame at 14. Oklahoma at 15. Florida 16. Louisville 17. Oklahoma State's at 18. Maryland 19, Auburn 20, South Carolina 21, Stanford 22, North Carolina 23, and Clemson 24, as well as Texas A&M holding on by thread at 25. So that's the top 25 rankings in the RFL College Series Season 5 season. So not going to keep too much on this because, again, you can look at this top 25 rankings if you missed this, or just rewind it back when you get the free time. But that is it for everything that I needed to cover in terms of college series. You already know, once again, going back to this game, to the game tonight, UCLA taking on Ohio State. I'll be in the booth, dual commentary with Pat McNeil for the first time with his debut, calling that at 8 p.m. once again tonight. So tune into that game. Should be a good one. Can't wait to go call that one in the booth with my guy. All right, and now we talk about what the big news is. So I'll just put up the thumbnail because I have some pictures and stuff to show you guys. But it's going to be pretty brief. So there's going to be some things changing in CS5. So for guys who don't know, we talked about this before. I usually mention this in some games in the college series, is that Madden 24 is now officially on PC. And there's been mods being made. And everyone knows that the RFL has definitely been in the mod era. Anybody can remember back the first time we ever modded. We modded the first ever Reload Bowl. The Reload Bowl, Reload Bowl 4 and the Toronto Bowl against the Huskies and the Red Dragons. And then the following season after that, we had the Red Dragons and Explorers. That Reload Bowl, that was fully customizable, modded with the field, uniforms, everything was modded in those two games. We haven't had anything modded since then for the RFL, other than college series bowls and stuff like that, maybe a Pro Bowl or two, things like that. I can imagine. Oh, I just thought about that. Pro Bowl is going to be crazy. So you guys already know what the future holds for the RFL. We have been trying to get the RFL on PC, honestly, since like season 6. So it's definitely been, some things that we had to battle and look at, and it was just like, okay, right now was not the move then. But now that we've got next gen gameplay, which is just so much better than current gen that we see in the college series, like, we really want to make this move because of the possibilities. And when I talk about possibilities, we look at the relocation teams. EA has cut them down to just 32 teams, and some of those teams we just don't want. 10 of those teams, they only gave you 32. The league is made out of 32, and 22 of our teams got to stay. They kicked out 10 of them. First of all, we didn't want that, right? Some of these teams we don't want. We don't want the Houston Oilers. That's an NFL team. We don't want that. What kind of customization is that, right? But now we are able to mod and bring back the teams that they took out. So here's just a quick showing of some teams. Well, we're bringing them back, but uniforms that we've already shown that we were able to bring back already. These uniforms will be different. I'll get into that, but we have brought back the London Bulldogs. As you can see here, a little picture we got. This is Madden 24 images. So these were taken on Madden 24, already modded from what we're doing. Now these are just uniforms that they pulled from Madden with what we were able to pull. So don't look at these uniforms and say, oh, you're just going to be playing in these. This is just to show that, hey, we got the Bulldogs in Madden 24 right now, right? So Bulldogs definitely back. As you can see right there, we're able to get their uniforms working within the game. You got the Chicago Cougars, who, they were on the brink to becoming the Blues. I think they were still going to be in Chicago. So yeah, they're going to be a Chicago Blues, so they ain't got to worry about that. Still going to stay blue, but they're going to be the Cougars there in Chicago. Got CP up there rocking out. I made sure to highlight some of our community players for this. But yeah, Orbits would have been the new change for the Bulldogs, who we just saw recently win the Reload Bowl. So it would have sucked to have those guys out. But they're coming back. Cougars coming back. Oh, then we have the Miners that are coming back. All the teams that we had in the RFL, they will be officially coming back. The only change I am making, I am getting rid of the Lancers, and I am going to bring on the Lumberjacks. I like their uniforms, and I just feel like the Lancers in history just really hasn't done enough to, have that team be like, if it's going to have people really care too much about it. Lumberjacks pretty much got that brown and different colors with their uniform, so we're going with the Lumberjacks instead of the Lancers. But yeah, the Miners are back. As you see Anthony Fry with the fist pump ready to turn up on the sidelines. And then we have the Celtic Tigers back, which thank goodness, bro. Because these guys were about to be the Antlers. Those were the ugliest uniforms and teams I've ever seen in my life. And man, if this team, the all-time most winningest team in the RFL, had to become the Antlers, I was going to be sick. I was definitely going to be sick. So thank God when we were able to get the Dublin Celtic Tigers back. They would have did my boy Trey Worsley dirty. They'd have did my boy Matt Niani dirty. I felt bad for them guys, but don't worry. CT is back. And then we have the Mexico City Diablos that are going to be coming back as well. As you can see, they got those uniforms. I like that Thunderbolt thing that they got there on the sideline. Still kind of don't understand what a Thunderbolt has to do with a Diablo, unless he controls electricity, but never heard of that. But anyway, yeah, that's what we have right now for the teams coming back. There are some teams that we're bringing back, of course, like the Barons, that we didn't get their uniform to show up in the game. And the Explorers, they're coming back. Didn't get theirs to show up in the game. We are bringing back the San Antonio Marshals. They're going to be relocating, though. It's going to be a whole lot going on with that. But the Marshals are coming back, man. There's going to be no more Wizards. For anybody who remembers the OG days, the Marshals were part of the RFL and the NRC expansion from Season 2 all the way up to Season 5. And then when they got rid of them, for whatever reason, I don't know what's going on with, I think it had something to do with law enforcement issues going on in real life. That's when, things were tripping, going wild. And apparently they got rid of the Marshals for that reason, I think. And once again, this is not something they said they got rid of it for, but it's crazy how they got rid of that and some other teams. And they got rid of, there's another Spanish team they got rid of because of the Washington Redskins things when they got switched over to the Commander. Oh, yeah, the Conquistadors. So, yeah, that's what happened with them. But we're bringing them back. So we're going to have two new teams. Technically, Lumberjacks are the only really new team, new addition to the RFL, and the Marshals are just coming back after a 3-year hiatus. So they're coming back. And for the teams that don't got the uniforms, don't worry if we couldn't find them in the mod, because we're going to be designing them. All right, we're going to be designing our own uniforms with this mod. And guess who's controlling that? You already know, the graphic design guru, the guy who comes up with the best unis, as you can see when we do mod stuff and have in the past. C Beazle in the building. I gotta get a round of applause button to play. But yeah, shout out to C Beazle. He's gonna be working. He's already made some crazy designs we've been working on, and boy, them things is looking fire. And then also I want to give a shout out to new member and head of the of modding here that we were able to bring in. His name was Trauma. I don't have him on for this podcast. He asked to be a part of this podcast, go on and talk about this stuff. But like I said, I'm not going in depth about all that just yet. More information will come out to you guys, and I will have him on a podcast at some point later on down the line, so he could talk with you guys. And because he knows a lot more about the franchise mod and aspect of things. So like he's handling that to make the mod very much possible. So man, those are the two main guys right there, along with me working on getting this brand new customizable experience from start to finish. So we're going to have all 32 teams in one file, guys. So there's no more auto wins. It's going to be a full RFL season with real stats, the biggest season RFL history, the realest season of RFL history, with our own custom look when it comes to uniforms, when it comes to even having our logos on the field. You ain't gonna see no NFL. This is gonna be straight up RFL. Straight up RFL. A lot more to come, but with that, because this is moving to PC, this is how it impacts the college series right now. Of course, you guys can see that there's been a little bit of a slowdown in some posts and things going on with the college series at the moment. I guess in a sense, yeah, I do apologize for the college series guys. You guys are still getting your games though, at least. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you guys really aren't losing out on anything. But I will have to step back from commentating as many games as I was, because now since it's on PC, I have to create the entire RFL roster pretty much by myself. And I got some guys that's trying to help me out with the roster. Olin Shaw has offered to help out with that. But at the same time, I did make it clear to him to know that only one person can work on a file at a time. So it's not something that we can gang tackle like how we used to on console. So this is something that's going to take a lot of time. And since I already record every single game that you guys see getting streamed, I get some help from Tyon Nickerson in the community, so shout out to him. I make sure to shout out all my guys that help. But yeah, Tyon, he helps me out at times. He's gonna help me out this week with some recordings. But that's a lot of games, man, and that doesn't give me a lot of time on top of calling games and stuff to be able to make these rosters. It's going to take me a long time by myself. So with that, I have to cut back on the games. So what the process is, I will only be calling games of the week. I only am going to be calling this game tonight and the game of the week this week, because I already because me and Pat talked before I came up with that decision about him coming on doing a debut for commentary. So we already established, hey, we're going to have you on for Thursday, and I did not want him to miss the opportunity. So I was just like, hey, we're still going to get that game in on Thursday, which is today. So I'll be in the booth once again with him calling that game. So other than that, I'm not calling every Thursday game. I just wanted to do that with Pat, just to have him, get his introductory in with commentary, see how that goes. And then, who knows, he probably can get on with me on Mondays whenever he's free. I've been trying to get other guys to do commentary as well. But again, if you are not consistent when it comes to commentary, don't expect me to reach out for you to do it, right? If you say you're going to do this at this time and you don't tell me nothing, and then it's time for me to go ahead and say, hey, you ready for the stream tonight? You ready to call the games? And you say, oh, I can't do it tonight. You didn't talk to me about that. I'm not going to hit you back. It's just what it is. So if you want to try to do commentary, you got to be serious about it, right? I don't just put anybody on here. But that is what's going on. And yeah, so we're going to have a cut down in games. But the schedule will still be the same, guys. So nothing's changing with the schedule. You're still going to have that Thursday game. You're still going to have Friday game. You're still going to have the games at the exact same times that they happen. The only difference is I won't be calling them except for the last game of the week for the game of the week. So at least we'll be giving you guys that, right? So, but the thing is, it's going to be a great payoff. Even though that'll be a slowdown in that department for the college series, it's going to be a great payoff, because once these guys do get drafted, and what's to come for the RFL is about to be absolutely ridiculous. More will, of course, be talked about. Like I said, in a later podcast, where we'll dive into more of that stuff. You guys are going to be getting all kinds of content rolling out from the RFL. I'm talking about in terms of the uniforms that we're going to be designing, the new logos, because we got to come up with a new logo for the Marshals, which we already have. So I have a video for that. I'll drop that eventually, probably soon, because the Marshals are going to be coming back. But yeah, I'm going to be dropping the Marshals logo. Bees is working on the Lumberjacks logo, because we're not going to use what EA had, of course. He's going to make his own logo with that for us, and we're going to drop those two logos, and we're going to be showing off and dropping videos of all the uniforms and combinations that will be coming for season 9. And when I tell you that the unis that I've seen so far, bro, them Jones is hard. Them Jones is hard. That's all I can say. Hard. Let's get hashtag Them Jones was hard in the chat. Say, now that's too much. I kind of don't want to put hard for obvious reasons, because I know you guys get that with the pauses. But yeah, put fire in emoji, fire emoji in the chat, I guess we could say. But you guys will see them, and yo, it's gonna be dope. It's gonna be dope. That's all I can say. See why? Yeah, yeah. So I ain't want to put hashtag hard on it. Yeah, nah. But so I just say, yeah, do what y'all feel. Just don't put that. All right. But Yeah, that's all I really got. Is there any questions you guys have for me? It looks like this podcast ended up taking longer than I thought it would. About half an hour. No, about a whole hour. So yeah, every uniform is going to be very unique, guy. That's all I gotta say. It's going to have its own special look, and it's going to separate us from any other league uniforms you see out there. Just from the textures and things that we're going to be adding, man. Beazle is a beast when it comes to those. So are we going to get stats for CS5? I got some guys. I got a guy working on adding them up, but you'll get stats eventually at the end. I can't guarantee you that in the beginning because we don't have anybody calculating all of that up. And I definitely don't have the time to do it, but I at least already made an Excel sheet. And I do have my guy, Brian Schneider, who is the tight end for the Notre Dame in the college series. He's been working on those stats. So he's adding those in when he can. And I heard something about Colo, I seen you did the team stats, and Baylor guys vouch for you like Mac and Killian. So I'm gonna probably be reaching out to you soon, just to see, if you're interested in helping him out with that too when he's unable to do those things. So stats you'll definitely have at the end of the season. Will you have it during the season though? No, you have to keep track of your own stats based off the photos and the stats that I've seen within the community. So that's all I can really say about that. It says, so for stadiums, RFL teams going to use those, right? Yeah, we're going to have our own stadiums too, man. We have to use NFL stadiums though still, but at the same time, everything else in that stadium is going to be customized to our own look. You ain't going to see NFL logo on the field. You're going to see our actual team, custom team logo on the field, in the game, on the uniforms, all of that. So yeah, I'll take what questions I can up until 8:30, so 2 more minutes. So can we get the Hard Rocks? Oh yeah, I forgot to show y'all. I was supposed to show y'all this when we talk about the custom uniforms. Since you guys seen the custom uniforms of the Red Dragons back in season 5, we can showcase this to you. You guys will not be getting any sneak peeks from us until uniforms are officially done and we got those videos out for you guys. But just so you guys can see that we have this working in Madden 24 right now, this is the San Diego Red Dragons from the CS5 unis. Now you guys only saw the away unis though in the Reload Bowl, which is the ones you see over there on the right. But that's what the home grays look like too if they went all gray. They got different combinations. We got so many combinations for these teams that we're about to put in, man. It's about to be real fire. Just to get a little more close up, as you can see what's going on. We have the Red Dragons chrome look. Everyone was going in on about how fire those Red Dragons helmets are, and you can see them right here in the new game of Madden 24, still looking as crisp. We got the don't worry about the number that's blocking the RFL custom logo. That's going to be gone. We'll get rid of that stuff. You can see we can put Nike on stuff. The RFL logo is actually going to be on the jersey. You can see it on the pants, the bottom right, the bottom left, excuse me, of the home jersey guy holding the ball, and then of course on the collar right there. So we're about to be going in. Just know that this is what's possible right now, and we're going to make it possible. Every team's going to have their own unique looks, and it's going to be heat, man, for season 5. So all I could say, I said season 5. That's when they had wordies, but yeah, season 9, it's going to be heat, bro. We're moving into the golden years of the RFL, man. I've been saying this. We've been waiting for this moment, and it's finally here. It's about to be a movie. Viral. Fabio. Yeah. But anyway, let me see if anybody got any more. Okay, I'll answer 3 more questions if I see, even though I'm kind of past my time. Said we get the rock hard stadiums now. Yeah. Yeah, uniforms look crazy. When do you think all the unis will be done? That's going to be a while. Of course you got to design all those, but I'll tell you one thing: C Beazle is cranking these things out, man. We've been testing them, and he's been working on them. We've been seeing how they look, just like how I was able to show you guys this picture right here. We've been, going in the game, looking at his designs in game, just like this, sending them back and forth with each other to see. And then of course he's getting confirmation from me if it's something we're rocking with or not. And I'm just like, man, most of his designs you already know I'm not going to say no to. If I see a little thing that I'm going to adjust, like that I think needs adjusting, I'm just telling him, I think we should go with this color or this and that. But for the most part, C Beazle, he's hitting them things is fire. That's all I could say. I'll say, yo, Cougars, fire. Everybody's jersey is going to be fire. Voyager's helmet, these is just a little bit of shout outs. Voyager's helmets, going to be crazy. You already see what the Red Dragons look like. I actually might give Davis an opportunity to decide what unis he really wants to rock, because I did like the Red Dragons uniforms that EA came up with, but I am not going to, of course we can't have their helmet because that's the old school logo. We're just going to put our helmet on it. I saw what that looked like with that team and it looked fire. So I really am going to just leave the choice up to Coach Davis on if he would rather have those uniforms or the CS5 ones that we had made. Not the CS5, but the Reload Bowl 5 ones that we made way back that were supposed to be his. But yeah, he'll have a choice and options. It's going to be a minute for all this to be made, man, when it comes to the uniforms and the uniforms and the rosters. So that's why it's very important that I got to take a step back from calling these games, man, and do this. Also, I want to give a public shout out to the community. Anybody who has a PC, if you know how to mod or at least has been into the college series, and know how to get that. If you are interested in streaming some games, right, to cut the load off for me to be able to actually, make more, I'll still be able to do it regardless. But if you are interested in recording some games, then just reach out to me. All right, just reach out to me about it if you're interested in being able to do that, and that should be able to free up some more time for me to be able to start building more of these rosters. So let me see a sneak peek at the helmet. Man, you're gonna trust me, yo, Baker. And you see these helmets, you see the uniform, the whole thing. It's just, bro. There's y'all just don't know. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna hit Mr. Krabs. They don't know. Y'all don't know, man. Y'all don't know what's coming. It's looking crazy. It's looking crazy for season 9. That's all I'm gonna say. Everything that we've been waiting for customization for this league is here. It is here. It's going to open up so much for the league in terms of even staffing, right? Because even how we operate with our coaches, it's been just one guy who had to pay the fee, and he's going with the fee. Now now we can have coordinators, custom playbooks, everything, the whole nine. And I'm gonna be dropping, and I'm working on information exactly how I'm gonna map that stuff out. That'll be getting posted to you guys. But like, yo, it's going to be crazy. Even guys, coaches, like guys who are really serious about coaching and, for whatever reason did not want to be a coach or couldn't be a coach because they couldn't pay the fee. Now it's going to be like whoever owns the team, they can hire you as a coach, and you don't have to pay the fee as long as the team's fee for the year is paid. Whoever owns the team gets the option of who to appoint for the position. So, you look at some coaches, like I said, JC Johnson, he was actually supposed to be a coach. Who knows? He might be interested now in trying to see if he can get hired by one of the owners. And right now, just to also put out there for the coaches, you technically are in that owner seat because you are paying for your fee for coaching. The fee for a team is $600 for the year, right? Right now. So, and that could be paid by the $50 a month thing, right? But yeah. So technically, if whoever's here right now as a coach, you are going to be the owner of that team. And so now you can appoint whoever you want in certain positions as a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator, create your custom playbooks. We're going to show the coaches how to maneuver and work those playbooks and stuff like that too, because if you don't know how to do that, you will get exposed. That's all I'm going to say. If you go with a base team playbook, you can finesse a base team playbook and make sure they're not calling dumb stuff. Madden 24 is way better at that. So you could probably be still successful with a base book, but a coach who really knows how to utilize their players the right way, put them in the right areas, and then the right plays to call in the right situations, you're going to see a difference between coaches who knows real football and what to do and where to put guys compared to somebody who just puts a playbook out there and thinking that they're going to dominate. It's not going to happen, right? It's just not going to happen, I'm telling you. But yeah. So how many options are each RFL team going to have when you honestly it's really kind of unlimited. We just make a at first I didn't know what Trauma was saying. Trauma's the guy who's helping us mod. this game, putting it together, right? So he's technically he's developing this stuff. We're making the content for him. He's putting it in the game. So all areas are very important, right? But he's saying, he was telling me that he has to just make separate mods for uniforms. So there'll be a uniform pack mod where it comes to like what uniforms you're going to be wearing, like for special occasions. If we have special occasion uniforms, then he'll make a mod where, you know what I'm saying, it'll have those uniforms in it, and then we just keep on the franchise and just import that mod, start up the game, right? So again, he's going to go into a lot more details when we do have an all-around discussion on this. I'm just giving you like the bare bones of things that are possible right now. He can go through those like intricate layers with you guys, right, on exactly how he does it and things like that. So like I said, I'm planning on having him on for a podcast. We're going to discuss what things, because I don't want him coming out here saying things yet and exposing anything he ain't supposed to. That's why I ain't bring him on here, because sometimes he gets a little excited. So yeah, so look forward to that. We technically do have unlimited amount of uniforms we could put, because we can just make a bunch of different mods. But what I plan on having is I plan on having, of course, the base home, base away, alternate. It's a lot coming, guys. Like I guess I could still get into this, because this is not stuff that he's going to get into when he talks about his job and what he's doing. But in terms of what I'm trying to have in the league, so we're going to bring Color Rush Thursdays back to the league, which is going to be fire. So every Thursday we're going to have Color Rush uniforms, and then there's going to be no dual city teams. The only dual city teams that we're going to have now are going to be London teams. We are still going to keep the Black Knights and the Bulldogs in London. Now, the only guys who know about the other city teams, I'm not going to expose those yet. We'll put that out there in public for you guys on video, social media, and stuff like that. So you guys, when we reveal everything, the unis and all that, you guys are going to know what cities some of the teams that we're keeping, that we do have, are moving to. But yeah, definitely new cities. And we're paying homage to where I originally got the idea to start up the RFL. So for anybody who knows, this is the whole reason why my whole Gmail account is called backbreaker100@gmail.com. So that's kind of like if you sign up in the RFL and you got an email from that's linked to the website, that's because the RFL really stemmed from when I first played Backbreaker. Now, I was always into creating custom teams and stuff like that back then, but it was Backbreaker who really launched the idea for me to move on and do this with Madden back in the day in 2016. I actually did it earlier, but I didn't really start putting it out there in front of guys until 2016. So Backbreaker was one of my favorite football games that really sparked the idea of the RFL, and I'm paying homage to them because there's some teams that we do have that are in Madden that's similar to them, and so they will be moving to those same cities, and then we're going to have like on a certain day each year, a certain week each year or something like that, where those teams wear their throwback Backbreaker jerseys. So I will actually make the original Backbreaker jersey, even with the original color scheme that those teams are going to wear. So it's going to be like, it's going to be a lot. It's going to be dope, bro. We got some crazy stuff coming, even from the Discord for the community, outside of the mod stuff. Like this card game that I'm about to introduce is about to be wild. So, yo, season 9 is about to be crazy. That's all I can say. I'm so excited. But I definitely stayed here longer than I intended to, right? I'll ask one more question because I think I only answered 2. Let me see what the best question I see here is. I'm going to answer it. Yeah, bro, it's a lot. I could tease a lot of this right now, and you're still going to be flabbergasted when you guys actually see what we're rolling out. Tell me options each team. Okay, that's the one I answered. So do we need PC to be a part of the league going forward? No, you do not. Matter of fact, you do not need to even have the game to be a part of the league going forward. Well, if you're talking about staffing, coaching and stuff like that, yes. Because just because you can pay the money, also, if somebody does come up and trying to offer like, hey, I want to own one of these teams, it don't mean you're going to get it, right? I have to see you as fit, like as a fit member to really own a team. And I'm coming up with a process on what it's going to take for people to own a team. I don't want no newcomer just coming in here, because anybody can sit there and put on the front and act like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this and that, and then they become a different person, once you sign them on. So only certain people will be able to own a team based off of your involvement in the community. So I'm telling you right now, even in the college series, if you're looking to be one of those teams, if you're looking to be one of those people, get involved in the community. Those are the people I want to actually be able to own a team and be able to move forward. There's going to be also rule sets for owners, so that way they know what the bare minimum is that you need to be able to do to own a team, because it's not just going to be coaching and all that no more. You have to be able to promote your team. You have to be able to have or get the right people under you for owning that team to staff and push your team out there, right? So that stuff's going to be very important. You build a team. You have to be able to have a team in mind, or how you're going to build it, and so that you can run that team effectively, right? So that's going to be very important. Also, the last thing I will say, this is what I'm going to end it on. If you are a guy, you know, by yourself, you don't have the money to own a team you want to put in, you can co-own a team with somebody, right? This information, of course, will be pushed out to you guys later on down the line. So, like say for instance, if the teams right now, and this is right now, so this is probably the cheapest that teams are ever going to cost in the RFL, because right now, I mean, I'm just taking it for what it is at the moment. The more the league grows, prices are going to start going up on team ownership. But right now, you can own the team for $600. This is what you're going to have to pay a year. Prices, like I said, still going to go up even if you own a team. But if it's $600 for a team right now, you can go ahead and be like, hey, I got 200. Find somebody who it will also be accepted in, who can go ahead and put that the rest of the money down for you. And if y'all go ahead in the partnership together, it could be up to, it could be 6 guys. Everybody put up $100, right? Now you get to pay for the team for the year. Now it's your guys' team to put together and to build with the staffing. So that's another thing that's coming, where I think it's going to definitely open up the doors for a lot of new people, unlike it was before. So that being said, appreciate you guys coming through, man. Like I said, went over, but I'll see you guys at 8 p.m. Eastern for the game tonight. UCLA versus Ohio State. I'm going to be in the booth for the first time with my man, Pat McNeil. Let's get hashtag Pat in the chat and show up for my guy for his debut here tonight. But with that being said, though, I'm going to go ahead and call it a cast, and I'll see you guys tonight for the game. Peace.